Good day, Council. Last Tuesday, I delivered a videotape and a printout from incidents at 11,800 Scott, Betsy Swingle Community Center. Every one of those audio tapes were police acting in law enforcement capacity. Not one incident number and not one call that they were at that address, telling me not to come back to a Civic Club meeting. I'm passing around. I've dealt with the deed restrictions. This is about my civil and constitutional rights. This is a city where we have a council made up with blacks, Hispanics, Asians, even an open lesbian mayor. I know that not everybody can agree with what they heard on that tape. No, they can't just agree with it. As I believe in my Lord Jesus Christ, this has got to stop. Can't represent an individual or a handful of individuals that are making money in this neighborhood. And come next month, I will be down here and I will show you all the pieces of property that I owned in that neighborhood and held a mortgage on. These have been direct attacks on property. Now it's civil liberties. This man has called my parole officer several times. Last, I was here on the 10th, the 2nd of December. Ain't nobody done anything. Until somebody does an investigation, I'm going to keep on coming. This is an eternal affair action. Police officers are not supposed to be there cell phoned. Coming on their cell phone, because if it ain't on this here, this is a document. This don't lie, just like the recordings. This don't lie. If they weren't there, then it wouldn't be on here. But they were there. And those recordings are all dated and timed. And showed the police officer, and the officer, one of them, Ms. Rowe, she was so blatant, I don't care about you recording. But when you listen to that part where I go and put my book in the truck, she's over there talking to Mr. Brown and Mr. Boxey, and then that's when she comes back and tells me never to come back to a homeowner's community center, or I will be arrested for criminal trespassing. That's all I have to interact on that.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. My inquiry has to do with a correspondence from the legal department to Mr. Burns dated Thursday, May 12th of last year, and I read in part that the deed restrictions have been reviewed and they do not appear to be valid. So my question and concern has to do with what are we doing to assist neighborhoods to update and bring their deed restrictions up to par, because that is one of the tools that our neighborhoods have that they can use to help bring about compliance in the neighborhoods. And many neighborhoods, I know they don't have the resources to do such, and I think that's one thing that City Council should be more aggressive when it comes to assisting neighborhoods to get their deed restrictions up to par. Year before last, there was a budget amendment that was proffered, and I don't know if it passed, and I think it did not, that would require the legal department to start a process working with neighborhoods to assist them. So my question, Mr. Burns, is to Mr. Holland Hanneman from City Legal. What do we do to assist our neighborhoods to bring their deed restrictions up to par, please?
We attempt to refer them to volunteer lawyers that will give them guidance on preparing deed restrictions, updating their deed restrictions, and it's a network of pro bono folks that assist these folks. The legal department will pursue deed restriction violations, but we can't prepare the deed restriction document for them.
I understand, but because it would be it may be a conflict even there. Mr. Burns, let me ask you specifically, what is it that you were trying to get enforced that was not enforced, please?
Well, those three parties there, one of them is State Representative Emma Allen, the other one is Joseph Boxey, and another one is Mr. Madison. One of them, in Madison, and Boxey and Brown are running a construction business. They want to build nice brick homes in a neighborhood that's modest. We're talking about old Sunnyside. We're talking about passed out by Alameda Genoa Road, where we had a rock crushing plant. These deed restrictions were done for the benefit of a handful of people. They excluded. They're sending out notices like a week before you have an opportunity to opt out. That's why on my website you will see the documentation. This last time before last, you will hear the recording. They're trying to undermine the deed restrictions by taking and forming a board of directors where they're coming up where about 11 people come to homeowners association meetings, civic club meetings, and then 6 people will make the vote. Their deed restrictions aren't valid. They have never been valid. They recorded these things with the state. This civic club is not in a good standing with the state, Secretary of the State. But this legal department here, the City of Houston, had no problem representing those deed restrictions as valid deed restrictions. I've fought, as I said, this trailer park, the people got tired of, the Coys got tired of fighting. They sold 4 of the lots to Boxey and Brown. The trailer park was sold for $100,000. The next thing you know, they come out here and they cut the power lines. They leave them hanging on the street.
Thank you, sir. You've answered my inquiry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's overwhelming.
Councilmember Green.
Councilmember Bradford, just so you know, this weekend we're actually hosting a deed restriction workshop at the Hiram Clark Multipurpose Center in conjunction with the City of Houston Legal Department. So we are bringing in pro bono attorneys to assist with communities in updating their deed restrictions as well as working with them to strengthen them, especially in light of Chapter 42. So there are some activity that is going around that.
Councilmember Burks.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Burns, I just have one question. But before I ask you that question here, let me go to our city attorney. What are the laws for deed restrictions and making them legal? What do we have to do with that?
You prepare a document that is going to be approved by a majority of the homeowners in the area that you're trying to restrict on setback, whatever you're interested in. Mm-hmm. But it's approved by a majority of the...
How much majority?
A simple majority. I believe it's 51.
90% of property owners.
Motion to suspend. Do we have enough?
Is there a motion to extend time?
So moved.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded. Favoring, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I get the number right. Thank you, Council.
And you know what, Councilmember, let me get back with you on that.
Okay.
I think it's 51, but I may be incorrect.
Okay. Now, I said that with Councilmember Green making his good position here for Saturday, because I hope to be there for it. But we're on TV right now, and some members on TV are not going to be there and they have the same problem. So if they don't get to his meeting, they won't know it, Councilmember Davis. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, Brother Burns, let me ask you something. It's down here for official oppression.
Yes. And I sent an audio recording to each and every council member and the mayor. I hand delivered it and had it signed for. You have law enforcement down there in the law enforcement capacity doing an investigation, asking for my driver's license, how much I'm weighing, how much the man behind me weighs that you hear.
No, I want to get to the oppression.
That's official oppression. You're using law enforcement. The city has litigated me for these deed restrictions that were not valid.
Okay, I got you now.
I mean, this is continuous. Now all else has failed. Now we're going to take and let's get his freedom.
Okay.
Let's come after his civil liberties.
Thank you, Brother Burns. Thank you very much.
Mr. Burns, just I know you've been here several times, and it just seems to me that somehow or another either we're not resolving what you need us to resolve because we can't, or because there's some... Let me just finish, please. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of what needs to be done. Now, you presented what appears to be a call for service slip in terms of officers. That's more of an officer's dispatch, but if they're attending a civic club meeting on behalf of the station, then it might not necessarily be listed as a call for service. If you want to launch a complaint against an officer, or if there's something, then I would suggest that instead of maybe directing those to City Council, that you do start with Sergeant Baltazar that's sitting here, because that needs to be a formal investigation. That's not anything we're directly going to be able to help with. Now, perhaps the legal clinic that Councilmember Green is organizing, maybe that might be a good starting point. And if you want to specifically lay out again what you think we need to do, maybe in written form, maybe we'll take another look again just to see if there's something that we're missing, that we're not being effective in helping you out. But I'm just trying to get it resolved for you, because it seems like you come up here pretty frequently, because I think you're still seeking relief, and maybe this isn't the body to give it to you. I'm not sure. I don't know what rights the Civic Club has or doesn't have to keep somebody out of a meeting, or I don't know how they're organized. But again, I mean, we need some answers for that, and I'm just concerned that maybe you're wasting your time sometimes.
Well, the recordings don't have no lie. You can hear somebody calling for police. Those recordings don't lie.
Okay, but again, touch base with Sergeant Baltazar.
That's
encourage
right.
you to.
And I'm just asking this, that the city not represent this civic club. It's not chartered with the state. It's not an official. And these deed restrictions were done. This is just some people got down there to church one day and they did a bunch of signing. They only had a handful of people. I mean, this is not a legitimate civic club.
Into the city attorney's office, I'd just recommend maybe if is there a process, if he's saying that this isn't a valid civic club or these deed restrictions, is there someone in the legal department that can review that?
We'll take a look at it, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, that email is verification that they're not no good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Okay, Mr. Coach, R.J. Bobby Taylor.